All right. Now today is the 7th. It is May 7th. I'm going to release this on the 8th. I'm going to do kind of a part two on what we did last week about biblical inspiration. And for some reason, I'm coughing, and it's just started a couple hours ago. I get this every now and then, so please bear with me as I try not to cough. But that's just one of the things that happens. Anyway, so I'm doing that. And also, I'm doing a little bit of different thing with the microphone here. What I want to do is try something different because I was listening uh, to the other video from last week. It was sounding pretty good for the most part, and then it started sounding not so good. So what I'm going to do here is test this really well, really quickly, make sure everything's fine, and then hopefully we'll be able to continue it all. I do want to, excuse me, I do want to continue on with the issue of uh, the how to put this. Well, this is the inspiration of scripture, and I'm going to do a little bit of a math lesson. Sound works good, works well, I should say, and hopefully everything will be fine. So I know that some of you commented that you really liked what I did last week. So what I'm going to do is I'm looking left and right because I have different screens. So this is a monitor, that's a monitor, that's a monitor up there. I have a lot of different things, different information up, and so I move around a lot and stuff. Now, what I'm going to do, excuse me, is the slides show that I'm going to be speaking on Laredo, Texas on inspiration. I'm going to be using it, and I'm going to do something a little bit differently here in that I went through some of the prophecies. I'm going to do a little bit different prophecies, but before I do that, I'm going to give a math lesson. So I hope you're there with me, and this is going to be relevant because there's some interesting things connected with this as well. I might get into some stuff, but we'll see how this goes. So, having said that, let me get on to, excuse me, sorry about that. I just apologize, but I can't help it. All right, so what we see is math in our world. I'm going to give a little bit of a math lesson. I'm sure a lot of you know about math, and I loved math when I was younger, enjoyed it, took physics, chemistry, took all kinds of stuff, trigonometry, really enjoyed math. And so look at this quick statement. Now, bear with me. This is going to lead somewhere. 2 plus 2 is 4. That's a true statement. 2 plus 2 is 5. That's a false statement. Now, I have these blocks. What I'm representing here with the blocks is actuality. Now, here's the thing. Math relates to actuality. That's the point I want to make. And we can see that we have two blocks. Excuse me, we have two other blocks. Well, the total is 4 blocks. And 2 plus 2 is not equal to 5. So we ought not believe what is false. Now, we can get into different kinds of oughts: moral ought, practical ought, logical ought, which I think is worth a really interesting discussion. For me, I like that kind of stuff. But when something is mathematically false, we should not affirm it, and it should be rejected. Now, check this out. We can build a roller coaster with a computer program. The engineers can build it, and it will work. See, there's a nice little roller coaster. And why? Why does, now it's a serious question, why does it work in the real world when what you do is make a roller coaster, so to speak, on paper? Now we're talking computer aided drafting and things like that, but we're making something you design it on paper or print it up on paper, whatever it is, and people can build it and it works. Mathematics relates to the physical world. Logic does too. Now, check this out. 2 plus 2 is 4. It's true. It's a logical statement. 2 plus 2 is 5 is an invalid logical statement. And we know that this logical statement here, attempt at being logical, is simply not true. It does not comport with proper laws of logic. Mathematics and logic are very closely related. And so I'm intrigued by the idea of why mathematics has a universal quality to it. We can add these blocks here and go to the other side of the world and add the blocks, and we still get 4, 2 plus 2 is 4. And we can do this in different ways, different senses, and it'll work. We do it on the moon, we do it on Mars, and it works. We have a transcendental nature of, math. Math is a conceptualization. Math is an abstraction. Math is something we do in the mind. And math does not occur under a couple of rocks. So if you were to have a rock and you were to print it over and say, hey, look, there's number 2, and there's another number 2 under that other rock, let's put those 2 rocks together, and now we have 4. It doesn't work like that. So math is an abstraction. It's not a property of the physical realm, it's a property of the mind. Now, I can get into some of that, but anyway, you'll see where I'm going to go with later. What I'm going to do now is ask you a question. All right? Now, let's say we have a piece of paper, and the piece of paper is 1/500th of an inch thick. All right? 1/500th of an inch thick. And so that means it's 0.002 inches. That means that 500 sheets of paper is 1 inch thick. Let's tear that piece of paper in half. Now you have 2 pieces. You tear those in half, you have 4. You tear those in half, you have 8. You tear those in half, you have 16 pieces. I do this 50 times. The question is, how tall is the stack? Now, I'm going to tell you the answer in the next slide. But before I get to the next slide, what I want you to do is think about it. Now, when I do this in classes, and I ask, show of hands, how many, just various things, I get various answers, 20 feet, 5 feet, 10 inches, 100 feet even. I get, a lot of different answers. So what I'm trying to show you is mathematical probability, odds, and things like that. Okay, here's the answer. You ready? The answer is this. It's 2 to the 50th, because you double it 50 times. And it comes out to this. 35,539,769 miles, 4,153 feet, 9¼ inches tall. Now the clue is this. This is going to, bear with me, this is going to relate to Bible inspiration. 2 to the 50th is that many pieces of paper. And I don't know if it's a 1 trillion or 1,100 trillion. I don't know. It's a lot. And so when we have, I did the math. It's not a big deal. This is how many inches tall it is. This is how many feet it is, because 5 by 12, and 5,280 feet in a mile right here. So you divide that number in, and blah, blah, blah. And so you get 35,500,000 miles tall. That's how it is. That happens to be 39% of the way from the Earth to the sun. So a little more than a third from here to the sun. Take those pieces of paper and stack them up. Now, if you do it one more time, well, then you would double that number. Okay? So then you'd have 2, whatever that is, and you'd have at least 70 million, and you double it more, just 2 more times you're past the sun. So you see, it really becomes incredible. Now, why is that important? Well, I'm going to show you something else. Something called the universal probability bound. Now, this relates to evolution and abiogenesis and some other things, but we're going to use it here for prophecy-related stuff. The number of atoms in the entire universe is roughly 10 to the 80th. Now, there's different estimates, but 10 to the 80th is about the median. It's 10 to 78, 10 to the 82nd. 10 to the 80th is a fair number. And some people say that the Earth is the universe is 18 billion years old. I'm not going to get into how old the Earth is. I don't think it's 18 billion years old, all that. But anyway, the scientists say that it's basically 14 billion. So we just go to 18 because that is the oldest that's been postulated. And it happens to be 10 to the 18th seconds. It's coincidentally 18 billion years old equals 10 to the 18th seconds. The fastest rate an atom can change state, or particle change state, is 10 to the 40th times per second. That happens to be consistent with what's called a Planck constant. And do I know what that means? No, I don't. Remember, that's what it's consistent with. Therefore, the maximum number of possible events in the universe, that is 18 billion years old, where every atom is changing its state at the maximum rate of 10 to the 40th times per second. That means the maximum total number of possible events in the physical universe, that's 18 billion years old, where every atom is changing its state at the maximum rate of 10 to the 40th times per second. That means every atom in the entire universe for 18 billion years is maximally changing its state. You have the number 10 to the 138th power. There it is down there. So what does that convert to? Different proposals have been offered for what's called statistical impossibility. For example, 10 to the 50th. It's another way of writing that is 10 to the negative 50th, or 1 times 10 to the 50th. And it's an arbitrary number, but it's also offered as a numeric value at which statistical probability is, for practical purposes, 0. Remember, 10 to the 138th maximum possible events in the universe. That's called the universal probability bound. Basically, when you have something at 10 to the 50th odds, basically what that means is it's not going to happen. That's basically the idea. All right, now, hey, look at that, biblical prophecy. Okay, now, excuse me, hold on, let me clear my throat again. So we're familiar with such things as born of a virgin. Jesus is born of a virgin, born in Bethlehem. I guess my wife is home. Opening the garage door a lot, shipping groceries in. Got to do the video, so here I am. Hear that beeping? That's what it is. Preceded by a messenger, right? And Jesus was crucified. And we are familiar with these prophecies. Now, there's another prophecy, for example. Cyrus II, he died in 530 BC, the founder of the Achaemenid Persian Empire. Daniel presented to Cyrus the writings of Isaiah written 150 years prior to Cyrus, which included this verse. It is I who says of Cyrus, he is my shepherd, and he will perform all my desire. And he declares of Jerusalem, she will be built, and of the temple, her foundation will be laid. Isaiah 44:28. And also in 45:1, thus says the Lord to Cyrus, his anointed, whom I have taken by the right hand, to subdue nations before him and to loose the loins of kings, to open doors before him so the gates will not be shut. But Cyrus was impressed by this prophecy, so impressed by this. He arranged for the Hebrew captives to be released so they would return to Jerusalem where they rebuilt the temple. He returned the vessels plundered by Nebuchadnezzar 7 years earlier from Solomon's temple and contributed financially to the construction of the Second Temple. Now, I got this from Chuck Missler's stuff. And who just recently passed away, as a matter of fact. We could go today from doing this video. But this is, it's here. It's just, it's an interesting prophecy. Now, what are the odds? Okay. Well, it just so happens there was this mathematician, Peter Stoner. He's the chairman of the departments of mathematics and astronomy at Pasadena City College until 1953, chairman of the science division of Westmont College. 1957, Professor Emeritus of Science, Westmont College, Professor Emeritus of Mathematics and Astronomy at Pasadena City College. And what he did was try an attempt to assign mathematical values to certain events. So, for example, born in Bethlehem, he was born in Bethlehem, Micah 5:2. He calculated 2.8 times 10 to the 5th. Now, how accurate is this? I really can't tell you. And the reason I can't tell you is I'm not a mathematician. Now, the information where I got this is right down here, Science Speaks. See this link. And you can check it out. There's more information. I've just taken the summation of this and just putting this here because it's just basic information. But if you want to go check out the logic and some of the issues that are there, you can go there and see some of his reasoning. But at least he's a mathematician. He worked in astronomy and other things, and he's a doctor. And so there you go. But nevertheless, the odds of one person being born in Bethlehem, well, take the number of people in the world at the time, how many people were in Bethlehem at the time, and do a little math thing to get the odds, and things like that. Messenger sent ahead of him. So he says 1 times 10 to the third. That's really 1 in 1,000. All right, this is 1 in 100 right here. They will enter Jerusalem riding on a colt, betrayed by a friend. Maybe 1 in 1,000 people that might happen to. Betrayed by 30 pieces of silver. 1 in 1,000. Now, actually, he asked me. It's going to be a lot higher than that, the odds. But that's okay. I'm just working with some numbers here. 30 pieces of silver used to buy potter's field. Okay, oppressed and afflicted, did not defend himself. That's Jesus, right? And would be crucified. Now, this is interesting because crucifixion was not invented when Psalm 22 was written. Psalm 22 was written about 1,000 years BC, and crucifixion was invented around 600 BC by the Phoenicians. And the Phoenicians, well, the Romans borrowed it from the Phoenicians. So here, what we have is a total for 8 prophecies of Jesus. The estimate is 2.8 times 10 to the 28th power. All right? Isn't that interesting? I think it's interesting. Now, let's go on. This is what Stoner said. In order to extend its consideration beyond all bounds of human comprehension, let us consider 48 prophecies similar in their human chance of fulfillment to the 8 which we originally considered, using a much more conservative number, 1 in 10 to the 21st. Applying the same principle of probability used thus far, we find the chance that one man fulfilled all 48 prophecies to be 1 times 10 to the 157th power. Now, that's pretty small. Okay. Remember, well, we'll get to it. Get ahead of myself. So check this out. Remember the universal probability bound, right? It's 10 to the 138th power, possible maximum events in the universe if every atom in the universe were to change its state 10 to the 40 times per second, okay, for 18 billion years. Now what we do is we take the exponents, we subtract them. So Peter Stoner calculated that 48 prophecies that Jesus fulfilled is 10 to the 157th power. The universal probability bound is 10 to the 138th. That leaves 10 to the 19th power. Difference. Did you know 10 to the 19th seconds is 317 billion years? And 10 to the 19th inches is 158 trillion miles. That's huge. Now, I think that's incredible. But wait, there's more. Tyre, the destruction of Tyre. He says 1 in 7.5 times 10 to the 7th. Samaria will be as a heap of the field. 1 in 4 times 10 to the 4th. Gaza and Ashkelon, their desolation foretold in Zephaniah. 1.2 times 10 to the 4th. Jericho will be rebuilt by the sun. That's Joshua 6:26. By the way, I've been to Jericho. I've actually stood on the walls, the fallen walls. You can see them totally clear. Anyway, 1 times 2 times 10 to the 5th. Okay, and 1 and 2 times. Okay. The Golden Gate. The gate was shut. Jesus is next to pass through it. Ezekiel 44. Now that's 1 times 10 to the 3rd. Now, if I understand correctly, the 6-day war where Jerusalem was attacked, I forget who, by Syria, I think it was back in 67. If I understand, I'm going to check this out. Maybe some of you guys can help me out. I don't know. But this one gate is supposed to be there and walled up so no one could pass through it. And one of the generals of the intruding army was going to knock it down and walk through it. And that's where the war started, right there. I'd heard that. I don't know if it's true, but if it isn't, okay, but it's still a cool story. I don't know if it's true or not. But I've heard it more than one time. Anyway, over the years. So Zion is a cloud. Zion shall be plowed as a field. 1 times 10 to the 2nd. Jerusalem enlarged 9 times. And as it prophesied, you got to check that out. Too big here. 1 times 8 times 10 to 10. Now, I'm going to be presenting this in a seminar in 40 minutes. I can't go through all these details. I'm just giving an overview. Now, Palestine, 7 predictions. Will be wasted, land desolate, etc. 1 times 2 times 1 and 2 times 10 to the 5th. Moab and Ammon will be taken by men from the east, but the people will return to 1 in 1,000 here. Edom shall be conquered, left desolate, and not re-inhabited. He puts it at 1 in 10,000. Babylon shall be destroyed, never re-inhabited, occupied by beasts. And that's 1 in 5 times 10 to the 9. So the probability of these 11 prophecies coming true is now found by multiplying all of these probabilities together, and the result is 1 in 5.76 times 10 to the 59th power. All right, now. So what we do is we take this times that, okay, which is the odds from the 48 prophecies of Jesus, right? And you get 5.76 times 10 to the 216th power. That's incomprehensible. So that is equivalent to 1.825 times the 209th power of years. That's equivalent to 9.09 times 2 to the 11th miles. It would take light 1.54 times 10 to the 199th years to cross that many miles. I mean, it's just immense. It's not going to happen. It is just not going to happen. Now, to me, this stuff is interesting. I love to see this kind of stuff because, well, to me, it's kind of cool. Now, I got some stuff here that I'm going to explain, which isn't that big a deal, and I'm not going to present it in the seminar, but I thought I'd share it here. Check this out. This I'm going to present, probably. Now, this is called gematria. Now, in English, we have alpha and numeric characters with letters and numbers. But in Hebrew and in Greek, the letters are also numbers. So it's called gematria, mathematical equivalent of letters and words and sentences. Well known, if you look it up. So Aleph is 1, Bet is 2, Gimel is 3. So it's A, B, and G, basically. Aleph is a D. That's number 4. So it goes on with the 22 letters in the alphabet. Now, there's final. Finals mean that when you have a cough like this, AAF, at the end of a word, it takes that form right here. But in the middle of the word, or the beginning of the word, it looks like that. And so a nun, which is here, down here at the bottom, at the end, it looks like this. So it's called the final form of the letter. So they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you get these numeric values with it. All right? In Greek, here we go. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. And you have these numbers. These are all the Greek letters. These are big letters, excuse me, and small letters. These are what's called uncials, big letters, minuscules, or small letters. And so we also have some final. Here, this is a sigma. So this is a capital S, a small s in a word, but when it's at the end of the word, it looks like this, right there. And so that's why it has a value of 6, but the final form has a value of 200. And then there's another letter, not generally in the Greek alphabet that they use, called Samsi, which is 900. And so they use this symbol for 90 right here. At any rate, this is called gematria. Well, what happens is when you when you write a word, let's see if I have something in here. You get the end of my notes. When you write a word, you get values. Excuse me. So, for example, God, it has the mathematical value of 86. Heaven has the mathematical value of 390. Let there be light is 232. And so on and so forth. Christ, Christos, is 1,286. The cross, the word cross, is 777. Interesting. Jesus is 888. Interesting. Fish is 1,224. And schizomanes is 1654, which I'm going to find out what that word is. Now, what's interesting with this, now there's a lot, I gotta tell you, there's a lot of people who go way too far with this stuff. And they try and find gematria values and patterns in various things. It's ridiculous. You know, it's like, come on, you don't have to do that. And so you can see all my notes over here. So I don't like doing that. I don't want to go that far. What I want to do is show you this. I'm going to go back down here. And there's an interesting little something, which I always thought was interesting. Now, in John 21:11, the disciples caught 153 fish. Now, I'm not going to present this in the seminar. I'm just going to share this here. I'm going to check this stuff out. Now, the word, the mathematical value for the word Jesus is 888. Now fish is equal to 1,224. Well, guess what? 8 times 153 equals 1,224. Now, is that a big deal? Not really. I just think it's kind of interesting. All right, it's cool. Does it prove anything? Doesn't prove anything, but it's interesting. Now there are all kinds of patterns like this. And for example, the Greek word for law is nomos, which has a gematria of 430. Paul said that the law came 430 years after Abraham went to Egypt. Now that's interesting. The Jews were in Egypt 430 years after being freed. Now, I write notes here. Let me review this here. I was going with this one. In Isaiah 9:6, the Hebrew word is a child is born, a son is given, etc. The gematria of every seventh letter, totals 888. Now that's cool. The gematria, you add up all the letters, every seventh letter. Sorry, I had to clear my throat, cough again. Every seventh letter of that sentence in Hebrew adds up to the total of 888. For unto us a child is born, a son is given. That sentence. That's interesting. Coincidence? Maybe. Maybe not. I just think it's cool. However, there's something even cooler. Did you know in the four Gospels, 153 individuals received a blessing from Jesus in one form or another? Now, I'd heard this over the years, and I haven't been able to verify it. And that's why I'm not going to present this in a seminar, but it's interesting. I did some research, and I found a listing. I forgot who originally discovered this. A mathematical guy. Maybe it was some, I don't know, maybe it was Panim. It's a whole other topic to get into. But check this out. I copied this down. These are supposedly the individuals who were blessed by Jesus. Now, there's 4,000, there's 5,000, the groups of people, things like that. And that's fine, but we're talking individuals. The leper, centurion, and the servant, Peter's wife's mother. So we have these, and it comes up to 153. Now, I haven't gone through and checked every single one of them. It would take me days and days and days of work to do this. And at any rate, it's what it is. I've heard this. It seems to be the case. I think it's very interesting. Remember, Jesus says, he'll make you fishers of men. 153 fish. It's really interesting. And in fact, that reminds me, here's a bonus something. The bonus something. You know this word, ichthus, right? Right? Well, in Greek, it's actually one less letter. It's an iota, a chi, and a theta. That's one letter. And an upsilon and a sigma. I'm not going to do it in Greek. It takes you longer to get that going right now. But I could import it. But no, it doesn't matter. Anyway, so we have 5 letters. Now, what's interesting about fish is that I is the first letter of the Greek word Jesus, which is Jesus. P is the first letter of the word Christos. The theta, the single, it's a circle with a horizontal slash in the middle. The theta, single letter theta, in Greek, is the first letter of the word theos, which is God. Upsilon is the U is the first letter in the word huios, which is son, and S is the first letter in the Greek word soterios, salvation. So what we have is, that's why people put the fish out there. Ichthus is the Greek word for fish, which has 1,424 right up there. Okay, but in Greek, ichthus, the 5 letters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 5 letters is Jesus Christ, God, Son, Savior. A lot of people see that as a pattern. Now, you can make up anything you want, assign values to those letters. It just works out. And it does. And I just like that too. I think it's cool. That's all. It's all. Now there's more stuff here. We'll get into some of this stuff here. Um, so that, yeah, that's fun. Okay, that's fun stuff. Here's some more trivia, trivial stuff. Did I do that one? No, I won't do that. I did that. Let me hold on a sec. Let me find out where I'm going to go. Oh yeah, I remember. So here we go. I'm going to get down to 153 fish again a little bit. Uh, I'm just having fun. So hope you enjoy my kind of laissez-faire methodology. But check this out. I was reading a commentary about something, and this commentary made this one comment, and it sent me off onto a rabbit trail, which now I'm including. And this is what it was, and I went and did some research, found a little bit more. But it was look, this is the Gospel of John, the first attesting miracle of Jesus' supernatural power, and the last attesting miracle. Right? This is the fish thing again. So the location was at Cana of Galilee. Now that's inland, away from the sea. But this was at the Sea of Tiberias, which is the Sea of Galilee. Yes. I gotta fix this. Okay, there we go. Now, check this out. Third day, third time, John 2:1. On the third day, there was a wedding. And in John 21:14, this is now the third time that Jesus was manifested to his disciples. Interesting. There was no wine. They had no fish. Jesus commanded them, fill the water pots, cast a net on the other side. Water pots were filled, right there, see? And the net was full of fish. There were 6 water pots, 153 fish. Now, 6, I believe that this relates to the creation in 6 days. Now, I can go into Colossians 1:15-17, where Jesus is the creator of all things. John 1:1-3, Jesus is the creator of all things. And God said, let there be light, speaking, let there be light, Genesis 1:1. I believe that's representative of Christ, the Word, second person of the Trinity, and hence his first miracle is creation. That's to me, I think that's it. And then this has to do with salvation. Creation, you could say of the world, and creation here, you could say of the redeemed. I believe 153 fish represents all mankind, all the elect, all the redeemed. That's what I just believe. Okay? And you can do what you want with that. You can reject it or not and say, Matt, love you, but you don't have all your paws in the litter box. Okay, that's fine. Here's something that's fun too. Look at this. Typology. This is a pattern in the Bible. I love. It's on my website. I thought I would just bring it up here. Check this out. Did you know Isaac, Abraham and Isaac, right? Only begotten son. Isaac is called the only begotten son. Jesus is called the only begotten son. Offered on the mountain or a hill. Isaac was offered on the mountain or a hill, and it apparently there's some evidence that it's the very same hill that they're both offered on. I've been to Golgotha in an Israel tour. I got to see it. Totally cool. They both took a donkey in place of sacrifice. 2 men went up with them. Now, in Isaac's case, it was Eleazar, the servant, and the word servant means helper. Eleazar means helper in the Hebrew. And so the father, Abraham, the son, Isaac, and the helper, servant, went there, 3 of them. Now, 2 men went with Jesus. Now, they were talking the thief and the murderer stuff. But the 3-day journey, hold on, let me come in. There we go. Took 3 days to get there, and Jesus was in the great 3 days. Both Isaac and Jesus carried wood on the back up the hill to the place of sacrifice. Now, when Isaac said, Father, where's the sacrifice? God will provide for himself the lamb. Ooh, pretty obvious. Now, both sons offered on wood, right? The cross, wooden cross. Ram caught in a thicket of thorns, right? And they offered the ram instead. Jesus bore a crown of thorns, and the seedling multiplied. And by that Genesis 22:17, the descendants And we are the descendants of Christ, believe it or not. We're called the children of God. Abraham went down, but son did not. And what that means is, and there's no mention of Isaac coming down. We know he did, but it's just he didn't come down. It's not stated. And of course, Jesus did not come down from the cross. Servant gets a bride for the son. That's the Eleazar. The servant helper gets a bride for the son. We know that is true. The church, the bride's a beautiful virgin. Only in Christ are we that. And the servant offered 10 gifts to the bride. Okay? Now, whoops. I found what's interesting is I did some research, and I gotta fix this. There's something missing there. Here, I'll put some texts there. I find those later, and I go in 1 Corinthians 14 and Romans. Actually, I think I just mixed up. Might be right, might not be right. I gotta check it out. I copied it. But in 1 Corinthians 14 and 1 Corinthians 12, and also in Romans. So anyway, it lists the charismatic gifts, and there's only 9. Now it lists different gifts. It has gifts of helps. Well, unbelievers could do that. They're not charismatic gifts. There are gifts of administrations, but there are charismatic gifts such as speaking in tongues, word of knowledge, word of wisdom, and there's 9 listed. There's not, that bothers me, but thanks for figure this one out. But it's on my website. Anyway, so there are 9 listed, and I couldn't find a 10th one in that list because there's 10 gifts given to the bride. I kept thinking, well, where is the 10th charismatic gift? And here it is. The wages of sin is death, but the free gift of God is eternal life. The word gift in Greek in that verse is charisma. Charismatic. And that's interesting. All right, good? Good stuff? Hey. But wait, there's more. Check this out. The tabernacle of the wilderness. There is more spoken of the tabernacle than any other topic in the entire Bible. Tabernacle represents Christ. And I'm not going to get into why and how, but it does. Now, what's interesting is in Exodus 25:8, God says, let them construct a sanctuary for me, that I may dwell among them. Notice what it says here. And the word became flesh and dwelt among us. Now the word here in Greek is skene, which can mean to tabernacle, to tent, to dwell. So it's from skenao, the Greek skenao. Anyway, there you go. There's that. Now, did you know that I have that picture that I had this picture from a book literally downstairs, printed in 1722. The book was printed in 1722, a Jewish German history book, and it has an encampment in hand engraved on the 12 tribes. It's totally cool. Sometimes I use it. But anyway, I didn't hear it. Arrangement of the men around the tabernacle recorded in 4 groups of 3. East of the tabernacle, 186,400 men, and the banner was a lion. The south of the tabernacle, 151,450 men, the banner was a man. West of the tabernacle, 108,100 men, the banner was an ox. And north of the tabernacle, 157,600 men, and the banner was an eagle. All right, why is that important? Well, let's check this out. Look here. See, here's the west, there's the south, there's the north, there's the east of the tabernacle. Now, it's not exactly proportional until we go here and we see the proportional relationship. If we were to make these equal distances and thickness and just kick the men out, this is what we would see across. Go up 2,000 feet up in the air, kind of a thing. That's what you'd see. And that, to me, that's pretty cool. But wait, there is still more yet. East of the tabernacle, the banner was lion, and we have lion, man, ox, eagle. Check this out in Ezekiel's vision of the storm. He had four figures in it. Each had four faces: man, bull, which is an ox, a lion, and an eagle. Isn't that interesting? Now remember, the symbols here of the banner, the flag, of the four groups. Lion, I call it, my old habit is say lion, ox, eagle, man. That's just how I've always learned it. We have lion, ox, eagle, man, or lion, bull, which is an ox, eagle, and man. Okay? In the book of Revelation, verse 4:7, the first creature was like a lion, second, like a calf, ox, okay? The third creature, man, and the other one was an eagle. Did you know that the four Gospels were known in code by the early Christians? Lion, ox, eagle, and man. Now, I think it's really interesting. God knows there's four Gospels. And remember, 153 fish in those four Gospels. That to me is fascinating, especially if those 153 individuals in those four different Gospels are what they are. That listing here is correct. So you see, that's interesting. Really interesting. All right. So that's it. I thought I would share that with you guys. Now that's the end. I forgot how to pronounce this. And this is eschatos. Hebrew, brand, and Greek. Eschatology out of that. So there you go. I'm hoping that this is all working out nicely. I hope that the sound is good, and I hope you enjoy this because, well, it's interesting. So there you go. Now I'm going to be traveling in a couple of days. I'll be gone for 3 weeks, and I'm going to try and do some more videos and put them up and schedule them for release so you guys can just I have an idea on something. I'm going to do something on a particular verse next, and Romans 5:18. You can check it out, but I'm going to do that next. I'm going to show you something in the Greek that I think is most interesting. I don't think I've done it here in the video. We'll see. I'll check my videos to see what I've done. I want to repeat myself. But there you go. Hope this was interesting. May the Lord bless you, and by His grace, we'll continue. We'll see you.